Hi, everybody. So today we're going to talk a little bit about history, and we're going to talk about Lemuria. And so I want to share my screen because somebody asked a question about this area here on the edge of, this is my picture of Earth, okay? That's the dome. And so David emailed me and asked, is there any landmass on the edge? So no, there's no landmass around the edge. But what there is portals that go into the earth. So the inside of the earth is like a honeycomb, and there is a central sun, we'll call it, in the middle. And I get that there's also some suns that have been kind of created in there or different civilizations. Sorry, different civilizations. So I still have a little bit of a cold. But so basically there's just portal after portal, and this is just, it's energy. So it might be a little bit thicker than, air or whatever, but it's definitely not any kind of landmass. So I just wanted to show you guys a little bit of some of the Tartarian stuff that we have been missing out on. So these kind of buildings, we're going to see them again. But these are the buildings that have been torn down, and they've been destroyed through wars. Oops, I want to go back to that one. So they've been destroyed through wars, and also they did this thing called the World's Fairs, and they were destroying the buildings after they were done. I really want to see. Yeah, so they're at the top, that little red circle. I believe that's free energy up there. So free energy still exists, and we are going to have access to that pretty soon. Another thing that's really important is that we realize that we're basically moving into a time where people are not going to be struggling to survive anymore. So this is a common conversation, like, are we going to have enough money? Money's not going to be a thing anymore, but before it becomes like not to matter, before it stops mattering, it is going to be basically the wealth will be returned to the people. So you're going to have a home, you're going to have a car, you're going to have plenty of food. None of that is going to be contingent on work anymore. So in order to ascend, that is one of the things that has to be given back to humanity, because we actually, that's our right to have that. And it has really been one of the things that has stunted humanity in general, the need to survive. And it's really increased the fear factor. So that's not going to exist anymore. So I do believe that will be, I mean, it's been pushed back several times, but I think it's going to be in February, late February or March, that we will see that begin to happen.
That'll change a lot of like homelessness. I mean, the addiction that happens when you're in that space because you don't have anything to live for. What do you have to keep your mind in a, you know what I mean? In a place, whatever word you want to use.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll help the whole everybody. I mean, for me, I feel it too. As soon as I don't have to worry about what my bills are getting paid, then lots of things are going to change, because I don't care. Then savings and retirement and all that I don't have, it won't matter. I'll be equal to the next person who lives next door. Doesn't matter what. I've been working my whole life too, but don't
Yeah.
have that.
Yeah, it's gonna change in a massive way. I
feel
think
that.
it'll start kind of small. Like, so what I've always gotten is that it'll be like 2,000 per person for like 6 months. And that will be, maybe we'll be told, I mean, there's a lot of scenarios, but what I get is that it's gonna be like, let's rebuild the economy, right? And everybody will have a certain amount of money that just comes to them every month. And then that's going to grow. So we're going to be helping each other. So let's say maybe somebody's, much older person, they're having a hard time, getting around, or people have started to grow their own food and these people really can't do it because they're just physically not capable. People will be helping each other. They're going to be helping their neighbors. They're going to be working maybe 2 or 3 days a week. And it'll be something that either they know it needs to continue to help the just society in general. Like, let's say they're a trucker, which we love our truckers. But let's say that they're, they have to deliver certain goods or something. So they're going to do that, but they're not going to work all the time anymore. So people are going to have time to actually process their emotions because we're going into ascension. And if we don't take that time, it's going to be harder for us to ascend. And we basically have a year before an event happens that's going to kick off ascension. That's what I'll say, but in a big way. So if they don't want it to be extremely hard on humanity, then they need to free humanity from the slave, mentality of work for food, work for rent, work for everything. So that's going to be ending. And I get that it has to. It's part of divine intervention. Like, there's no way that they cannot do it. And I do think that all the money that was taken back from like the Vatican and all of these crimes against humanity people, all of that money will go back to the people. So anyway, if you weren't able to buy silver, or if you weren't able to, invest in certain currency or whatever, you're still going to be okay. I just wanted to say that. I wanted to talk to you guys about Lemuria today. So there's an old movie called The Abyss with Ed Harris. And I'm going to see if I can share that too, if it'll take me. Well, let's go here. So this is the movie. And if you want to watch it, you want to get the special edition. Okay. But basically what that movie does is it shows you the Lemurians of now. So there's disclosure there. And they basically went into the ocean and they're deep, deep in the ocean right now. And they've learned how to control the water. So the Lemurians, I actually get that volcano that was supposed to create like that huge tsunami recently, that they're the ones who actually slowed that down because they can manipulate the water. So there's a lot of movies that I want to mention just because I think it's important, to kind of like wrap your mind around some of the stuff. But if you want to know like what's been going on, kind of the more ugly side of things, V for Vendetta is a good movie to watch. Zoolander, believe it or not, they had some disclosure in there. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, huge disclosure. Star Trek, Star Wars, Stargate, and Cocoon. So I would look those up and treat yourself to a little bit of, you know, maybe a week of, I'm going to watch a movie every night and just kind of see. But so the Lemurians, their ambassadors are the dolphins, and that's why we love them so much. And sometimes they will incarnate into a whale body as well, and they'll be like a great whale. But in general, they're one with nature, and they have brilliant technology, but they use it for only for good. So that's what we're striving for. So I kind of want to just take questions today so I can drink my tea and then answer. So
speaking of dolphins, I don't know if you've heard or looked into it all, the dolphin assisted births, like pregnant women. So I guess it used to be like a thing in Hawaii where people could go and actually like give birth with dolphins, and they send like the sonar and they assist the mom, and it's like supposed to be this and it's like it got all shut down. It's like forbidden now to give birth with dolphins. So I think that just goes to show how like potent that would be, but it has to do with their just the way that they vibrationally help the mom and the baby through birth. So
yeah,
but so you're saying that kind of like that they're still like more humanoid kind of Lemurians currently, or are they like incarnated into like dolphins and whales and stuff like that? Or
they will incarnate, they don't incarnate into the dolphin. The dolphin is like, I mean, it sounds kind of crazy, but they're kind of like their pet or their familiar, you know, but they can communicate with them. But the Lemurians are almost like, they just look like a light body. So they just glow. And they do have like, you know, our shape with the 2 hands and the 2 feet and all that. Their eyes are really big.
Is dolphins just how we see them? How 3D perspective sees them as dolphin? That's what
Dolphins are brilliant. They're smarter than most humans. Their brain is actually bigger. They've really done a good job hiding what the dolphins actually are. Because the dolphins are supposed to be like a bridge between the Lemurians and humanity to help humanity grow. And that's why, you know, like a baby, like you're saying, born with the dolphins, it's just going to be like that vibe is going to carry through that entire lifetime. And I think water births are better in general. That's what I get. And it's better for the baby. And we're not supposed to cut that cord so soon. That's another bad thing that they do.
Yeah, and overall, like this just uptake in C-sections, right? Like just not just emergency C-section, but scheduled. And even emergency, I feel, you know, if you don't have a conducing birthing environment, like even like giving birth on your back kind of thing, which really isn't.
No, it makes it harder to give birth.
Yeah, so of course it's going to increase, but just this overall like skipping of like the most important part of, you know, how we enter this world, and just like, we'll just take you out, you know, both for the mom and the baby. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot that's been obscured and obstructed there in giving
Yeah.
our power away to medicine, right? Like,
Mhm.
you know, in the birthing.
They want to
process.
make everything as painful as possible for everybody,
Mhm.
and to make the baby suffer as the baby exits the, you know, the mom's body. That's like ideal for them,
Mhm.
because, you know, to have a squashed head, and, you know, there's ways that people can, like, they used to have what's called a birthing chair. And basically it was a chair that had just a very small circle around it, and then like these big handles, and the woman would just be sitting on it, but barely, so that she was sitting upright and the baby was going to come out, you know, in a much easier way. So it kept the hips in a certain position to birth the baby.
Mhm.
And it was easier on both the mother and the baby. But they got rid of those.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think as far as the dolphins go, I think that we're going to learn how to communicate with them in the near future, and I think it will be more of a telepathy thing. And the English language is really nasty. So there's a lot of words that have been created and turned into spells, basically. So I think that I don't think we'll learn how to speak dolphin, because it's just not physically possible. But I think we'll have telepathy with the dolphins. And then eventually, I think we'll meet the Lemurians. But I get that might be like 100 years from now. You know, we'll have to be ascended at that point for sure.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, another good movie to add to the list. I watched it a couple weeks ago. It's also from the 80s. It's called They Live. And
Yeah.
it is just amazing how it ties into like both the propaganda part, but like this and it's kind of similar in the Matrix as well, this like Mr. Smith effect, right?
Mhm.
Where you have entities working through people, where, you know, if you're not fully soul embodied, it's like this Rumi quote, like the wound is where the light gets in, which is true, but it's also where entities get in, where you know, they can, you know, more or less hijack you and operate through you. And yeah, that movie was really good kind of for that. And then having like regular people siding with them, right? Like somehow kind of going along with that
Yeah,
agenda.
it really illustrates what's been going on right now.
Yes, very much.
Really?
Very much.
Yeah. I've only seen like clips of that movie, but it is hilarious.
Yeah.
How real it actually is. So
What was it called?
They Live.
They Live. Yeah. It's what's his name? Rodney. What's his last name? He was like an 80s wrestler. And there's like this 80s wrestling scene in there that just cracked me up. Flash from the past.
Yeah, but it's like sunglasses or something, right? Like they have.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if
and
they
then
put
you
them
can
on, they can see.
Yeah, you see the propaganda, and you see kind of like these, they're more like robots than aliens, but like these that have like possessed people, more, if you will, or they're like camouflaged as people. Yeah.
There's a lot of things that are camouflaged as people.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a big part of the population decline, is going to be that, you know, group. And some of the people have gotten the bad, you know, poke, but it's going to be really interesting, because we're going to know who everybody is from now on. So I had this crazy experience at work, and I haven't told this on YouTube yet, but I basically was helping an older gentleman, and he came in and he had a technical issue, and I used to run a cell phone store. So I decided, well, I'll help him, so I helped him, and I noticed what he was wearing. He was wearing a red string bracelet. And, I'd been researching for a long time, so I knew that that wasn't maybe the best thing. And this guy says, oh yeah, I spend 6 months in New Zealand and 6 months in the United States. And I was like, oh, red flag, So he was part of the Ka and ball. So he was probably pushing 80, and his eyes changed color. So they went from like a gray to this bright blue. I immediately forgot his name. And because he knew that I knew what he was. And then he got close to the computer, and I had orgonite next to the computer because it absorbs radiation. So they can't handle that. It's too high vibe for them. So he just like freaked out and ran away. And he wanted a screen protector, but they were too expensive, he said, But obviously he drove up in $100,000 car, So then probably 2 days later, somebody tried to invade my mind while I was asleep. And I got this scream in my head. I was dreaming. It's like 4 a.m, and I hear, I give up, really loud. And I woke up and I'm like, what's happening? And immediately I knew that it was because of that experience. So then every night I had to protect the house, do all this energy stuff. But, they didn't get in. But I think that's, due to my higher self protecting me. But that kind of stuff isn't going to be going on much longer. But there's been a lot of people that have been invaded. So
yeah, a couple of, probably in the fall, I had a few people reach out to me to say, like, they're like, are you like psychic attacks? Like, I haven't been attacked before. I talked to people, and it seemed to be like this wave of like psychic attacks in the fall. And the way I kind of see that is like twofold. It's like, yes, you somehow almost like whack-a-mole, like your light shines brighter and brighter, and now you're like, your head pops out of the crowd and they're like coming after you, kind of thing. And also it's like an energetic match. So it's whatever's unhealed in you is where they they'll come for fear that's like unresolved. So like, rather than still kind of seeing it as somewhat as a gift, or somewhat as like a shining light on what you need to heal. Because I think if you get to the point where you're fully like soul and body and your light is super, super, super big, they can't touch you. It's like this in between stage when you're rising. That's right. That's exactly
when they do it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the love bubble that I talk about quite a bit really works for that. Mm-hmm. Because these entities, they don't like love. But basically, if you can clear your ego, which I have in the community page, that video, how to do that. And then you just grow a bubble from your belly button out, and it's pink and it sparkles like a sparkler kind of. And you just fill it up with unconditional love. They can't get into that.
Yeah. Because it also depolarizes them, right? Because they need to keep that fear or whatever. So if you just give them love, as opposed to like, this
they
typical
run away.
Like, I cast you out, demon, like this old school, right? Like, then you're meeting them energetically. So if you just beat them with love, there's nothing that for them to feed off of.
Yeah, we have this one nasty kind of demon hanging around our higher self group, because we were all like kind of graduating, up. And he had like one of those squished noses with the nostrils just like on the edge, and He was gray and creepy looking, like something from Harry Potter is how I imagined him. And I would just bomb him with like these pink bubbles of love. It was so funny. He would run, he'd be like, what is this? Like, I cannot deal with this. And, I wasn't always like feeling totally loving either, but I was like, love, bomb, almost like slingshotting. So that, just do that kind of thing if you feel you're getting attacked. It's, everybody has energy and everybody can work with energy. So do whatever you have to, but I don't think that they have access to their technology anymore, which I think is what tried to invade my mind. It was somebody using tech, but they couldn't get in. What do you think?
Which would make sense.
So
especially since you were working at like a tech store, right? Like it seems like that would be the how they found you, through that tech link.
Yeah, and I think he was a big cheese. Like I felt like he was pretty high up.
Yeah,
and it was obvious that he was altered because your eyes don't change color, and then whoever you're talking to forgets your name. Like I was like, oh my God, what an experience, I was pretty shook up for a while, but yep. So I don't know what else to talk about today. Did you guys have anything you wanted to talk about besides the Lemurians? Like, I don't have a whole lot of information on the Lemurians, except, that they're taking care of the oceans and.
Yeah, no, the only other thing that kind of came to mind when we were talking about like this, the income kind of the changing of the financial system. This is kind of this like this dark timeline, this lower timeline, this more like AI inorganic timeline, mirroring kind of that, more higher timeline where everything kind of comes from abundance, where they're looking at more of control, right? Like where it's like, yes, there'll be universal basic income if you do this, including getting a, this thing every few months, right? Then you can have this. So it's like both timelines know that it's like, it's coming and they're just trying to steal it, if you will, like steal the concept, steal the idea. And for people that might not be fully see through it, will still I guess it appeals to like our human nature that knows that what's going on right now, how we've been living this like trade your time for money isn't the best for us. But then like the critical thinking part and being aware of like the bigger agenda and a little bit of what's happening in Canada now with all the truckers and kind of like being a bit of a bank run, and I was like, this is good and it's bad, but like without the judgment of good or bad, but more like which of these timelines are going to like kind of jump on it as these old institutions start to crumble. And I never would have thought that Canada would be on the forefront of this, but it feels like at the moment we are, but you guys in the US are just about to hit your Pluto return. So I'm sure you guys will catch up really quick. But these like, institutions are crumbling. I can see them like, in their agenda, how they're playing it out to be like, oh, they're almost like want this grave distrust in government and this like, so they can be like, look how this doesn't work. You can't trust governments. They mishandled this last 2 years and here, the finances are mismanaged so that they can kind of swoop in with this, World Economic Forum, like one world government and this new digital currency that is like tied to social credit systems. I can see it kind of like how they can kind of like swoop in, but the question is like how this higher timeline can we like push that out, because it's like it's the same idea. It's still going to be like a one world government, but not based on control. And it's going to be, you know, a free kind of and abundance rather than like money per se. But did you follow kind of? Yeah.
So what I get is they're gonna continue to let it look uglier and uglier, probably for like, and timelines are hard because they change a lot, but probably for about another week is what I get. And then the collapse will begin. And we could even see the collapse in the dollar this week. So by the time this shows up on YouTube, it'll already have started. But then what I see is they're going to have all this evidence to go back and say, look what they were trying to do to you. And we're not going to do that. You know, we're going to take care of the human race. But we're also, the government's going to drop in like volume, I guess I'll say, from to like 10% of what it is now. So we're just not going to have the government that we have had, and people are going to be taking care of each other. People are going to have the money they need. Then we're going to be hooking up with the Tartarians. So really, I feel like this is going to be the hardest year because everything is going to come out and people aren't necessarily going to be massively cashed up, but they will have plenty of money to live off of. Some people don't handle money well, and I think that's another part of it. Like, they just spend everything they have like on the first day, where that doesn't really work. But I feel like it's 6 months of a basic income, and then it will just almost be like a large influx after that. So
you said this video coming out on Saturday. That'll be the 20th. That's the Pluto return date.
yeah, I feel like we're right on the precipice of everything really starting. Like, so much of has led up to it, like with the truckers and the emotion that the truckers have garnered from the rest of the world. Like, when I first saw the trucker movement, I cried. I was like, this is it. This is going to end all of it. So that's humanity standing up, and they're divinely protected. So they will really triumph. And I do believe that Trudeau will crash and burn pretty quick here.
Yeah. Oh, it's going fast. He's crashing under. Yeah, I don't know. Did I mention this in the last video? I can't remember, but someone had mentioned to me more the symbolism in the trucker movement and the horns, kind of like the biblical analogy of the trumpets. Yeah, like just like sounding the trumpets, right?
Right.
And even saying that now, I got chills. It's like I still talk about it a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. They're doing an amazing thing, and it's selfless, and it's really like temporarily it's hurting them, you know, but in the end, they're just going to triumph and all their money will be returned. And
yeah. And I feel like this is just like this ultimate test, just like how we talked about, like when you don't have that security, right? Of it's hard to focus on anything else, but it's also like we're being somehow almost the way I saw it is like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you know, like, and now we're starting over, and it's like can you hold the faith if that security, the bottom of the pyramid for us, to go up to self-actualization, if that bottom of the pyramid gets taken away,
Yeah.
can you still hold the faith and surrender and know? And like, we're just being like tested, especially here in Canada, so many people lost their jobs, but people are like, no, I am not doing it. Like, this is, so it's like this, you're starting over the pyramid again.
Yeah.
Like, without, can you feel secure without having the security tied to like your wealth and your income and your job and even like your freedom, right? Can you still be free while the rights are being taken away? And it's like the more we can find that without it tying it to the 3D, the faster humanity is just like taking off.
Yeah, they're learning how to be sovereign beings.
Yeah.
And they're teaching everybody else how to do it too. Yeah, by surrendering.
Surrender to those attachments that we don't realize that have been controlling us.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, of course, life is easier if you have that kind of 3D taken care of, but it's like, this is like the accelerated like graduation process. It's like, if that's not there, can you still feel like safe?
And it's really time. Like, I've been sick for a week, and yesterday I said to my higher self, I'm tired of being sick. I'm done. Take away the mucus, let's just get it over with. And I am definitely better today than I was yesterday. So really, that's what we have to do. We have to demand it of the universe to end the nonsense. Like, it's time for it to stop and take our power back.
Yeah.
Because we're
that's what
power.
Yeah, and I saw that from one of the guy that showed he was on the bank call with the bank, to get it on record. And they're like, yeah, we've been told we have to seize your account. And afterward, he's just like, this is scare you or empower you? Like, don't let it scare you. Like, this is, proof that they're desperate. They don't know what to do. Like, and he had just such resolve in his field. And I was just like, yes.
Yeah.
Like, this ultimate, like, no, this is not going to scare us. And I can, while the energy has shifted somewhat, there's still, some individuals that are just, if anything, more committed, because they know this is their journey. Like, they've taken it on and they're going to see it through. And this is their mission that they, signed up for. Like, this is the pinnacle of that mission, in this part of our collective ascension.
Well, it's war. Sorry, it's war. So we're at war, and it's war for humanity, for freedom. Anyway, maybe that should be the end. Coughing and gagging. But I just want to say thank you to everybody for listening, and let us know what you want to hear about next, like Inner Earth or whatever. And I'm sure if I feel better, I'll have more details. So anyway, thank you, Anna. Thank you, Sarah. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.